The reason you're not seeing results in the gym might actually be your fault, but lucky for you, if it's your fault, that means it's in your control. And if it's in your control, we can do something about it. If you don't know me, my name is Haley and I'm your realistic and balanced bestie, helping you build a stronger brain and body. Today we're talking about why you might not be seeing any results in the gym, what to do about it, and how to know if your workout is actually effective. Before we get into it, please remember that you can always listen to all of my educational videos over on Spotify under Healing with Hale, but if you just love seeing my cute face, please make sure you click the subscribe button so that you can stay up to date with everything that I post here on YouTube. Also, please make sure that you're checking out the description below for a bunch of free resources for your fitness and mindset journey. And with all that being said, let's get into the video. Now we're going to start by talking about the 5 main reasons that you might not be seeing any results in the gym. And the first one being that your routine is inconsistent. Now this is pretty much self-explanatory, but it goes without saying. If you are only working out maybe once a week or once every few weeks, or maybe you have a really good week of working out and you're like, yeah, I feel so good, this is wonderful, then you don't go to the gym for 2 weeks, obviously you're not going to see the results that you would have seen if you had just found some kind of consistency in the middle there. So maybe consistency looks like 2 days a week for you, or 3 days a week for you, or once a week. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that you actually have something that's consistent that you're going to stick to, because what kind of fucks us up the most is when we do have those really good weeks of, oh my god, I went to the gym 4 days this week, I'm doing so good, I'm eating so healthy, I just had a salad, like I am feeling on top of the world. And then you miss a day randomly, and then that day turns into 2 days, and then next thing you know, you're 3 weeks out of not going to the gym, not eating healthy, and just kind of feeling like shit. And this actually makes you feel worse than if you had just found some kind of consistency where maybe you were only going to the gym once a week, but you were sticking to it every single week, going once a week. Because when you're going on that roller coaster of really high highs and really low lows, it kind of feels like a toxic relationship. And the highs feel really, really good because they feel so much more drastic compared to the lows. But if you had just had a steady little middle ground, you would have seen so much more results, and you wouldn't have had this crazy, insane, emotional roller coaster that you're stuck on because you just had consistency. And this obviously goes for nutrition as well. So if you're only eating good maybe a few days out of the week, but you feel really good when you're doing it, and then you spend your weekends absolutely devouring a bunch of McDonald's and KFC and whatever else you want, you're gonna feel a lot worse after eating that fast food because you had that super high of eating only healthy foods for like 3 days in a row, and now you feel even worse because you think that you just absolutely pigged out and ruin all your progress, when in reality you could have had a salad for lunch and then maybe had the KFC the next day for dinner. And if you had just had a little bit more consistency in that routine instead of the super high, I have to be completely perfect and healthy, and then you feel like shit when you're enjoying the KFC or the Cane's or whatever it is that you're eating for dinner, that's gonna make you feel like your progress is crashing instead of allowing it to just ebb and flow like it would if you had just had some kind of middle ground of balance there. So the goal here is to find what works for you and figure out what that looks like, because it's obviously going to be different for every single person, and you know yourself better than literally anybody. So if you know that it's not realistic for you to go to the gym 2-3 days a week, then don't go to the gym 2-3 days a week. Maybe do a workout class at home, or pull up a video on YouTube, or take an extra walk on your lunch break. Whatever it is that actually works for you and is actually something that you can consistently stick to, that is what you need to aim to do. Not going on these crazy super roller coasters of super high highs and super low lows. Because again, not only is that gonna absolutely fuck with your mental, but it's also just gonna make this whole fitness journey feel completely impossible to actually stick to. The second reason you might not be seeing results is that you're probably not eating enough protein. And this is a huge one, and it's honestly one of the biggest things that I know for a fact has halted my progress or put me in situations where I know I could have had better progress than I actually ended up having. And you don't necessarily have to track every single ounce of protein that you eat, but if you're starting out and you've never really tracked before and you don't really have any kind of baseline of where you're at calorie or even just protein wise, I would recommend looking into tracking at least your protein, because I think it can really help you get an actual visual representation of how much protein you actually need to eat. Because sometimes when you actually have it written out in front of you and you can see, oh, this is how much 160 grams of protein is, you realize that you might not have even been anywhere close to hitting your goal, even if you thought, oh, I'm getting protein at every single meal, I should be fine. But when you actually look at it, you might be drastically under eating your amount of protein that you need, because it can be really hard. And it's not an easy thing to do, but it is something that is going to make a huge difference in not only your energy levels, but just how your body looks and how your body performs in general. So if you've never tracked before, I would recommend tracking just your protein for at least 2 to 3 weeks and kind of get a baseline and see where you're actually at. And I can almost guarantee that once you start tracking, you're going to realize that you're maybe anywhere from 20 to 60 grams under eating from the amount of protein that you should be aiming for. And if you don't know how much protein to aim for, I actually do have a calculator linked below that is just a protein calculator. So that could be a great place to start. Reason number 3 that you might not be seeing the results you want is because you might be performing your exercises incorrectly, or you might just have poor mobility. And this one is a little bit more specific to trying to grow certain muscle groups or trying to work on a certain area of your body. So for example, I really want to grow my quads, and that's something that's very heavily on my focus, and it's something that's a big physique goal for me. But if I notice that maybe my quads aren't growing and I'm confused because I'm like, I'm squatting all the time, what the fuck is going on, what's happening? So if I know that I'm squatting maybe 3 days a week and consistently trying to go up in weight, but my quads still aren't growing, it might actually be because maybe I don't have the proper mobility in my squat. So if my ankles are really tight, which my ankles are very tight, when I'm going down into that squat, I might not be getting the proper knee flexion that's going to allow me to actually work and target my quads in that squat. So I might be doing all these squats and I might be using progressive overload properly, but if I'm not actually targeting the muscle that I'm trying to target, then they're not going to grow and I'm not going to see any results in that particular body part because I don't have the mobility to do that move properly. So what you want to do is really take things back to basics and really focus on your form and go nice and slow, drop the weight if you need to, and make sure that you're actually performing your exercises correctly, and try to make sure that you're actually feeling them in the muscles that you're trying to target for whatever that exercise is. And there are some tricks you can do when it comes to mobility. So say squats, for example, if I'm sticking with the fact that my ankles are really tight, I can elevate my feet a little bit, and it's going to allow me to get deeper into that squat so that I can actually target my quads in that move. There are some little things that you can do for different moves like that, but overall I would recommend just kind of focusing on your mobility, maybe doing an overhead squat test, which I can do a whole video on if you want, but doing an overhead squat test, try to figure out what your imbalances are, and then from there you can kind of tweak your program so that you can start to work on those imbalances and make them something that's not going to stand in the way of whatever goal you're trying to achieve. Reason number 4 that you might not be seeing any results is you are not utilizing progressive overload, and this is arguably probably the top reason that most people aren't seeing results. And it's sad because it's kind of the whole basis of strength training in general. I do have an entire video on how to progress correctly in the gym and how to utilize progressive overload in all the ways, but overall there are multiple ways that you can utilize progressive overload. I know we think of increasing our weight every single week, maybe increasing the amount of reps that we do, but there are other things you can do, such as pause reps, slowing down your tempo, increasing your speed, or decreasing your rest time. There's so many different ways that you can make an exercise more challenging than it was last time. But I think this is such a big problem because a lot of times we get in our own heads and we just get scared to try to push ourselves a little bit farther because we think, no, this feels hard, like this is a hard move to do. And I don't know about you, but I used to struggle with the fact of, oh, well, this exercise is hard, so when it's not hard anymore, then I'll increase the weight, then I'll add more reps. Once it starts to feel easy, then I can start to increase the weight that I'm doing. It is never gonna feel easy. As someone who's been doing this for almost 9 years, it does not get easier. If I were to go and do just 60-pound goblet squats, those would be hard because it's a hard move. But I know that I can push myself to grab an 80-pound dumbbell, a 90-pound dumbbell, whatever it is, because I know that they're all gonna suck equally. And some are gonna be a little bit harder and they're gonna suck a lot more. But any form of movement, especially strength training, is going to be hard. It's gonna suck a little bit. So I think when we try to think, oh, I'll push my weight when this feels easier, I'll push my weight when I can do it, when I can do this weight, you have to start just utilizing progressive overload in whatever capacity you can do at that moment. So even if all you can do is add one extra rep to whatever exercise you're doing, then that is still progressing. That is still adding more reps, more of a challenge onto your body, which is the goal overall. And then when you look back in, say, a month or so, you'll be like, oh wow, I over the course of this month added 10 pounds to this exercise. I added 10 reps to this exercise. Whatever it is, you are trying to make sure that you are always adding more. You are always challenging your muscle in some capacity during every single workout, because that is what is going to tell your muscles that they need to grow, that they need to actually change, and that they need to adapt to the new stresses that you're putting on your body. Because if you just continue doing the same amount of weights for every single week, it's always going to suck. It's always going to be hard. You're probably going to break a sweat. You're probably going to feel a little bit tired and maybe even a little bit sore after, but your muscles aren't going to grow from that because you're just doing the same exact thing. You're putting the same amount of pressure on your muscles every single week. You're not increasing their need to repair those muscles and to actually build up new muscle. So if you haven't increased your weight or your reps or whatever it is on any exercise in the past few weeks, try to start your next workout by at least increasing 2 to 3 exercises in some capacity. And reason number 5 you might not be seeing results is because you set unrealistic goals. And this is such a common one, I think, especially with social media, because now we're kind of in a time where, you know, you don't always know who's telling the truth. You don't always know it's true. And someone might say, I achieved this result in 12 weeks. And so then we think, oh, if they did it in 12 weeks, I can do it in 12 weeks. But one, maybe they were genetically blessed. Maybe they were using steroids. There are so many things that we don't actually know the full story behind, but then we put it in our head like, oh, well, I should be able to do that. When in reality, a lot of these really drastic transformations cannot be done in just 12 weeks. These are year-long processes. Doing something like losing 50 to 100 pounds is not a 12-week process. That's not something that is realistically or sustainably or healthily going to be done in a short time frame. And I think this is where, when you first start a fitness journey, maybe setting a physical goal or a physique goal is not necessarily supposed to be your first and biggest goal to set, because it's just going to put really unrealistic expectations in your head. And if you start to only focus on the physical part of it, it's not going to lead you down a good path. You're not going to be happy mentally, you're not going to enjoy the process, and you're probably going to start to feel like shit a little bit, and you're going to be a lot harder on yourself, and you might even be more prone to focusing on the scale or staring at yourself in the mirror or just doing things that aren't going to lead to a happy, healthy, long-term journey. And now, if you're sitting here a little bit upset because I just crushed your whole world by telling you that you're the reason you're not seeing results, don't worry, because I'm actually going to tell you how to actually know if a workout was effective, because then this gives you something to focus on that's not really results driven. It gives you something that you can kind of use as a baseline to be like, okay, I'm not going to focus on my results, but what I am going to focus on is making sure that my workouts are actually effective and that they're actually doing something for me. Because if my workouts are working for me, then I'm more likely to actually see results if I'm sticking to all these other things that I have to do. So one of the biggest ways to know if a workout was actually effective is obviously going to be if you're a little bit sweaty and your heart rate is a little bit more increased. But I don't want you to think that this means that you have to be absolutely drenched in sweat every single time for a workout to be effective, because that is not true at all. Because when you think about it, there are things like cardio that are going to make you drenched in sweat, but this doesn't necessarily mean that you're building a better physique or training your muscles better than if you were to be lifting weights. While lifting weights might not actually make you drenched in sweat, sometimes it does. Don't get me wrong. There are some back days that I leave absolutely soaked. But just because doing your back day or doing a lifting exercise doesn't absolutely drench you in sweat doesn't mean that it's not effective, and doesn't mean that it's not helping you transform your body in some way. So when you're doing your exercises and you notice that you're pushing close to failure, which you should be doing, you should be pushing all of your exercises within 2 to 3 reps shy of failure. And as you do that, you should notice that your heart rate is going to increase a little bit. It's going to be a little bit harder to breathe. You're going to be like really pushing through those last few reps, really focusing on taking some nice deep breaths. And that is an incredible sign that your workout is actually effective. So you really want to try to aim to get that feeling, get that really big push feeling for the majority of your exercises. And if you're getting that feeling and you know that you're pushing close to failure, that is the biggest indicator to know, oh, this shit's actually working. Like, my body is actually really working here. I'm pushing, I'm transforming, I'm actually doing some shit. The second way to know that your workout is effective is obviously going to be if you're a little bit sore, but again, I don't want you to hold every single exercise to this standard. I don't want you to think that you have to be sore every single time in order for an exercise to be actually effective, because that's just not true. The only time you're really going to feel sore is if you're trying a new exercise for the first time or for the first time in a while. If you push yourself a lot harder than you normally do on an exercise, which obviously should be the goal. You want to continue to push yourself and you want to challenge yourself like we talked about earlier. So you might feel sore after almost every single workout if you really are pushing yourself to that level. But this is something that's a lot harder to achieve when you're working out maybe 5-6 days a week, because you can't necessarily push yourself absolutely to your max capacity every single workout if you are training back to back 5-6 days a week. So you might notice that you're only feeling sore every once in a while, and maybe it's a little bit harder for you to feel sore on certain exercises. So that's going to be when you're really only going to feel sore if you're trying out new variations or doing maybe a different form of progressive overload, such as pause reps or even adding in drop sets and things like that. Anything that's really switching it up, but not necessarily pushing yourself to your absolute max capacity and failing at an exercise. Those things are still going to probably cause you to feel sore, but it's not necessarily the goal for every single exercise. However, when you are sore, it is a pretty good indication that whatever you did work, whatever muscles are sore. So this is something that's really good to use when you are starting out, or you're getting back into the gym after a while, or you're just switching out a new exercise. If you're sore in the spot that you wanted it to work, that's a pretty good sign that you actually worked out the area that you were trying to work out. The third way to know if your workout was effective is if you feel hungrier after. And I've actually had some clients who thought that this was the opposite. They thought that because they were feeling hungrier that they need to go back into the gym and they need to do more, or oh, I need to go add some more cardio because I'm still hungry. I shouldn't be hungry. I should have worked it off and I should have just gotten rid of all that hunger with my workout. That's not how this works. When you work out, your body is going to be hungrier because it wants to replenish all of those calories and all of that energy that it just lost. This is a good sign. But this is also when you really have to heavily focus on that protein, because not only is the protein going to satiate you a lot longer than eating just carbs or just fats is going to, but it's going to help build up that muscle that we just tore down and that we're trying to repair now. So if you leave a workout and you're like, oh my God, I'm literally famished, I could eat 10 horses right now, that is an incredible sign that your workout was really good and really effective, but you need to make sure that you go get some protein. Fourth way to know if your workout was effective is if you have a big endorphin boost. And this is one of those things where the moment you feel it, you're kind of like, damn, like, all those fitness people, they weren't lying. Like, I actually feel better right now. And you kind of get annoyed because you're like, damn, I didn't want this to actually work. Like, I didn't think this was real. I didn't think I was actually gonna feel this much better after I work out, but you do. You're always gonna feel a little bit better after you have an actually really good workout, and that's just natural. That's because it is literally an endorphin boost. So really just try to enjoy this feeling and let it just sink in that, okay, I'm feeling really good right now, so that means I actually had a really good workout. And number 5, the last way to know if your workout was actually effective is if you sleep like a rock. And this is gonna be a little bit more for people who work out earlier in the day, or people who have a pretty decent amount of time between when they work out and when they go to bed. For the people who work out at night and go to bed right after, you might actually feel a little bit restless when you're getting into bed, and this is normal. This is because you still are gonna have a little bit of a burst of energy after you finish working out. So trying to give yourself a pretty good window between after you work out and when you go to bed is probably the smartest thing to do here. But if you notice that when you do go to bed, whether you worked out in the morning or later in the day, whatever it is, if you are just knocking right out and sleeping through the night, that is an incredible sign that your workout was really effective and actually really tired you out. And this is just a good sign in general that everything is kind of functioning the right way in your body, meaning you don't have any deficiencies. You're probably leaving a pretty good window of when you finish your last meal before when you go to bed. You're not chugging a bunch of water or having too much caffeine during your day. You probably are just having a decent all-around sleep habitat, which is a good sign in general. But getting a good workout in can really help you sleep just like a baby. And I always know when I haven't had a really good workout because I'm kind of restless at night and I feel like I just didn't really get all my energy out, and I'm just kind of like flopping around like a fish because I have all that energy and I just can't get it out of me. So when I lie in bed and I am knocked out within 10 minutes, that means I had a pretty good workout that day. Overall, focusing on your results is not necessarily the best way to ensure that you're making progress, but focusing on making sure that each one of your workouts is the best that it could possibly be is a much better way to really ensure that you're actually staying on track and that you're making progress that's going to actually last a long time and isn't based on things like how much you weigh or what you think you look like in the mirror. I personally think that focusing on making sure each one of my individual workouts was the best that it could possibly be has been a really good mindset shift for me, because I'm not necessarily focusing only on my results. I'm really focusing on making this a part of my daily practice and just making it something that I'm really giving my full attention to, and that I'm just really putting all of my effort in. And then once it's done, it's done. And then I'm just going to repeat the cycle tomorrow, and maybe once a month I might look back at my progress, but I'm really trying to take a step back from looking only at my results, because that's just not really the season of life that I'm personally in right now. And I 100% see that changing in the future. I'm not saying that I'm never going to look at physical results ever again, because there are some things that I want to work on, but it's not a huge part of my reasoning and my focus at this point in my life. And I think it's been the most fun that I've had in the gym in a long time. So I really hope that you can take some of these tips and some of this lesson kind of into your own gym routine and try to just focus on making every single one of your individual workouts the best that it could possibly be, and really just try to have fun with it. Try to just push yourself and see what your body can do, and the results will come. Results are just a byproduct of you giving it your all and actually putting everything that you have into each individual workout. If you learned anything that is going to help transform how you do your individual workouts and how you push yourself to your absolute best abilities, do me a favor and comment below and let me know which one of the ways that I mentioned is gonna be the thing that you're gonna focus on the most in your workouts this week, because I really wanna know which one is gonna be your main focus. Is it gonna be if your sleep improves, or is it gonna be if you feel hungrier after your workouts, or if you're really noticing your heart rate going up as you do individual exercises? Let me know which one it is, because I really think it's gonna improve your workouts drastically. But that's all I got for you today. So until next time, be kind to your mind, to your body, and to others, and happy healing.